Hello and welcome to Dimsy's Domain, and today we're gonna have a little discussion. I found myself in a conversation with these two power scaling people, and I thought to myself, hey, why don't we have a little discussion? So today I have with me Geeklist TV, and for his debut, the Golden Scouter. Do you want to say hello? I guess Geeklist can go first. Yeah.
I'm not a power scaler, but don't push me. There you go.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah. All right then. Let's. Okay.
My bad.
What do you mean I know it's so bad. All right. So let's talk about. Do you reckon that the power levels of each individual will play a big role in the tournament of power? And what I mean by this is the fact that it's more so the community, how they behave. So do you think that whilst the tournament of power unfolds and as they kind of fight, because you have 80 combatants. So I done a video with Geeklist TV regarding if the tournament of power is going to be like the Royal Rumble. So that's going to be in the description down below. Check it out. Subscribe to these two as well. But I'm saying how the community, so as they're fighting, we have 80 participants fighting. Do you think that there's going to be complaining in the community saying that, oh, this person's stronger than that? How is that going to affect this? Is that going to be detrimental to how people perceive and digest this arc?
I mean, we're already kind of seeing that, aren't we, with the whole Goku and Krillin thing? So, I mean, people are really complaining about how this power scale is working right now because people have said the power scaling in Super is really bad. And I would agree with them, but there's one thing that Super has always shown to us that was almost a certainty for every single arc, and that was never contradicted, was how strong Goku and Vegeta's bases are. And they're absolutely strong. That's the point. Whereas now, I'm not gonna say that Krillin is as strong as Goku and Vegeta's base because I don't think so. But it really does seem like they are trying to imply that. Okay, let me paint a picture here. So Goku goes SSB against Krillin, right? Now, 17 and Gohan state there's such a huge difference in power. No matter what strategy or plan that Krillin comes up with, it won't work because when you're up against someone so powerful like this, there's nothing you can do. This is, I guess, demonstrated in previous arcs where like both Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo attacked Final Form Frieza at the same time, but Final Form Frieza was so much above them that they couldn't even see the guy's movements. They couldn't even think of a plan because the guy was just so fast for him and so strong. So, okay, so, then they charge up a Kamehameha, and they beam clash. Now, obviously, we know that Goku is not going all out, because, 17 and 18 and Gohan pretty much said they, Goku was in a different league than Krillin. But let me paint a picture for you guys. Goku and Vegeta in the Potofu arc stomped Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. They literally stomped him. Now, they've gotten stronger, they've trained, we can presume they've gotten Zenkais in the Future Trunks arc, so they're even stronger than that. Now, that to me tells me they're stronger than any character we've seen in Z in their base forms. Any character in Z. Now, why would Goku need to jump to Super Saiyan Blue if he was trying to intimidate Krillin with a high power level? When all he had to do was just power up in his base form. You know what I mean? If he powered up in his base form, that's like you're talking about Krillin going up against like a Buhan level character, Krillin going up against a Super Vegito character in just Goku's base alone. So it's like that should be dramatically above Krillin. No, like Krillin should not even be close to that level of power. So the fact that Goku went blue to intimidate him, it just to me does not make sense. Now, what are we gonna see in this tournament could really be up to debate. Like if Goku and Vegeta start out the tournament in their blue forms, which I don't think they are, but if they do and they're fighting like all these contestants, people are gonna be raging. They're gonna be like on the keyboard, oh my god, these guys are all Super Saiyan Blue level. What the fuck? Are all these guys stronger than Golden Frieza? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, I think it's already causing a fuss. Now again, I'm not trying to say Krillin is stronger than everyone in Dragon Ball Z. I'm just saying it's weird that because Goku should have been able to intimidate him enough with just his base form alone. Unless it's just due to the fact that they're trying to tell the audience visually the power difference. But I mean, we saw visually the power difference between Copy Vegeta and Gotenks. I don't see the need why Goku needed to transform into a Super Saiyan or to a Super Saiyan Blue against Krillin. I don't know what Golden Scouter's thoughts are on this, but that's just my take on my interpretation on these last few episodes.
Yeah, I agree with you, MJ. I mean, it doesn't make too much sense in the grand scheme of things for Goku to go blue against Krillin, but I do think it's an important thing just for Goku to go blue so that way Krillin actually gets a gauge of what kind of power is going to be in the tournament. And yes, I do agree that people really are having a big deal with, and even the androids being in the tournament. I mean, the whole thing is that we see that great Super Saiyan 3 is actually 4 times stronger than Super Saiyan 2, and back in the Cell arc, Cell was probably around that strength roughly. I mean, whenever it comes to weakened Super Saiyan Gohan, I would say that Super Perfect Cell was probably around that strength. And even if a Super Perfect Cell was just half strength of that, or just regular Perfect Cell was half that strength, TN was just like, I don't want to go in the Room of Spirit in time to go and fight this guy. He's way over my league. But then, all of a sudden, there are god-tier characters in this tournament. I mean, what I explained earlier probably wasn't the best to explain it, but there are god-tier characters in this tournament. And back in Cell Arc, you could argue that the gap and the god-tier characters are way higher than the gap back then in Cell. And the humans back then felt like they were no match for Cell. They didn't want to train. And then all of a sudden now, they're ready to take on characters that are established to some people 10,000, 100,000, even 1,000,000 times stronger than, say, Super Saiyan Goku on Namek. So I see where definitely people are coming from with this predicament of having a problem with the weaker of the, I don't know, the weaker 5 of the people fighting in the tournament.
That's a good point.
Because I think most people...
Scouter, sorry to cut you off there, but that's a good point because people might say, well, Scouter, I mean, there's stakes now. They have to fight for their universe, but at the same time, they knew the Earth was in danger. So it's like, well, if they knew the Earth was in danger, then why didn't they at least train or polish their power? Because they could be of some use and against Cell. I mean, when you look at the manga version of that battle, they weren't even in the last the last beam struggle. Like they incorporated them in the anime, but in the manga, they weren't even in there. Like you're so right to that point. To the fact that Cell was just so much more powerful than the humans. The humans said, "Fuck training, fuck this. We're not even gonna compete." Even when Gohan was losing in the beam struggle, they still didn't even jump in because they were just so out of it. Vegeta was actually the only one in the manga to jump in. So that's a good point, Scouter. It's like you have like Goku and Vegeta and all these guys here. Well, why are all of a sudden the humans like, oh, we'll jump in there, we'll help you guys fight, It's funny.
Motivations, I think that Dragon Ball Super, we can just say that it's a little bit silly in terms of logic, but the main question is, now that we are part of the audience once more, watching it live weekly, do you think that it's going to hinder your experience and how you perceive and how you enjoy Dragon Ball Super, knowing the fact that, okay, you might have a character like Basil, and we've seen how he performed against Majin Buu. You see him go toe to toe, and is even with, let's say someone like Android 18. Is that going to make you think like, okay, what is this ridiculous writing? Or are you going to kind of turn off your inner power scaling brain and try not to nitpick it and just kind of see how they utilize the teamwork? Because of course we are going to see a lot of teamwork, because they kind of emphasize this with the episode which focused on Krillin. But at the same time, actually I want to say, regarding your point for why did Goku go blue against Krillin, I think it was actually to show Krillin not the power, because he can't sense the power, so that he can have a gauge of the pressure. Because we know that when they go blue, when they emit God Ki, there's an intense pressure which kind of makes them somewhat paralyzed in fear. I don't know. Or it gives some sort of feeling where they feel like they can't do nothing. It's very similar to when Vegeta tried to attack Whis, but he felt this intense pressure. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons why Goku wanted to give Krillin the ability to feel this pressure, so he doesn't freeze up in the tournament. And I guess 18 and Gohan can experience that too. But I think that just in general, like, do you reckon that it's going to take away your experience and your enjoyment? And do you think that the wider audience, because we're watching this weekly, we're up to date with the spoilers, look, we're making videos on this, but for the people who are in the comment section down below and watching it normally, just like us, do you think they're going to like it? Or they're going to be like YouTube, where you're going to be like, no, the power scaling is this, during the Cell arc it's like this, what's going on? But what do you think? Because I personally think that people are going to, after a little bit of complaining, they're going to just turn off the brain off and see, I don't know, they're going to see Gohan vs Hit or something, which shouldn't make sense, but they're gonna end up seeing it because of the techniques, because of the way their fights are choreographed. I don't know, what are your thoughts regarding that?
I mean, Okay, the answer. Okay, the blue thing. I sort of agree with you. It's just that I just feel like maybe he didn't have to do that. I just feel like Goku and his base should be astronomically stronger than Krillin. And plus, it's like, how do we know many of those characters are even gonna have God Ki? Because like Universe 9, Universe 11 seem to imply that when they sensed Goku, they were actually pretty shocked that Goku was able to wield God Ki. So that may even indicate that Jiren and the Pride Troopers don't even have access to God Ki. They're just strong like Hit is. So okay, that's for another video. But the whole Basil and 18 thing, like if we were to see like Basil go up against 18, or like Bergamo go up against 18, and 18's able to hold her own against him, or like 17's able to hold his own against them, I see your point, but at the same, this is gonna be a funny exaggeration because I've always sort of just turned my head off with Dragon Ball because there's just always been like a sense of like gag, kind of like, I don't want to use the word ass pull, but Super's not the first part of the franchise to introduce ass pulls. I mean, two examples from Z from two of the most favorite arcs of all time probably come to mind, and that's the Saiyan arc, or Saiyan arc, sorry Scouter, and the Namek arc. And in the Saiyan, just Saiyan arc, basically, so we see the humans train with Kami and Popo, right? Well, Goku trained with Kami and Popo for 3 years, and Goku only got strong enough to defeat Piccolo Jr. when he trained with Popo and Kami for 3 years, whereas the humans who are not even Saiyans, and there's been different videos about if the Saiyans have more potential, if Goku's like a prodigy, if Goku has more potential than the humans. Well, the humans went and trained with Kami and Popo for just a year, they became stronger than Raditz. So that pretty much just shits on all of Goku's like potential. Like, was Goku just sitting on his ass like half the time he was training with Popo and Kami? So there's that. So that's pretty much, you could actually say that's an ass pull, that Raditz was this space warrior and he was so powerful, but the humans can just train less than a year with Kami and Popo and they automatically get stronger than them. Now skip forward to the Namek arc, and I know Scouter's gonna know about this one. Piccolo pretty much shows up on planet Namek. He was on Kaio's planet for just a little bit, way less than what Goku was on Kaio's planet. He shows up, and then all of a sudden Nell's like, wow, your power is impressive. And Nell has sensed the likes of the Ginyu Force. He sensed the likes of Captain Ginyu. He sensed the likes of First Form Frieza. He sensed the likes of Goku. Yet somehow a guy who lost to Nappa is impressive to him. Well, how the fuck did Piccolo get that strong in such a short amount of time? You know what I mean? It's like, there is just so many like vague instances of ass pulls where you just had to just turn your head off, because we know why that was there. Krillin and them needed to get strong because they needed to fight people stronger than Raditz. That was just what the plot demanded. He jumped to the Namek arc. Piccolo needed to be stronger than most of the people on Namek, so when he fused with Nell, it would match Second Form Frieza. It just happened to be because of the plot. So if we see 18 fighting against Basil, it's probably just because of the plot.
That's the weirdest thing, because of the fact that, as you said, it's a vague aspect where at the time, especially me, when I was watching it as I was growing up and whatnot, I didn't catch that. I didn't really pinpoint that. Oh, no, that should have made sense. That's the thing. It doesn't really stand out as much as Super. Why are all the power-ups, or the quote-unquote ass pulls, why do they stand out much more? I guess people have this rosy little vision of Dragon Ball Z, and they think it's a perfect, very, very consistent anime, which it isn't. And I know, Scouter, you know that Dragon Ball Z isn't the most consistent, especially the power levels, but just, I guess, final thoughts right now. Do you think that it's going to cause a backlash, or do you think that people are going to turn their minds off as a general audience and just enjoy it if it is somewhat enjoyable?
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be mixed. Yep, I think it's going to be mixed opinions generally. I mean, for me, the way I approach the series is that I watch it first and I enjoy it for what it is, and then I go back and I think about the power scaling later. Like, I don't try to power scale things as it's going on, because to me that takes away from the actual episodes. But I think that there are people who will do that as they're watching a show, and they're probably going to bitch and moan and gripe the whole way through. But for me, I'm just approaching this arc just wanting to see good fights, some halfway good writing. I mean, all they have to do to write the human characters in, or any of the weaker fighters, is just have them fight characters who we know that don't have God. I mean, it's just as simple as that, because Dragon Ball is, I mean, of course, it's fiction and it's written by someone, so all that writer has to do is just write it to where the humans fight characters that are plausible for them, and for the god tier characters to target each other, and for the non-god tier characters to target each other. But even if that doesn't happen, Super has been establishing that they're introducing new concepts that were never really explored before, like such as Goku being harmed by a bullet whenever he was off guard, or even to a more higher extent, that laser that actually went through him when in the Resurrection of F arc. So Super has been introducing that teamwork matters again, because in Dragon Ball Z, we've been shown in the Saiyan arc that whenever they're fighting against someone who's so strong, it doesn't matter how much teamwork that there is. The stronger opponent is going to come out ahead of everyone else, and that's been shown in Dragon Ball Z. But here in Super, they're showing us that teamwork matters, that catching people off guard can actually hurt them, and all kinds of other different concepts that strategy is going to matter more in this arc than just mere strength. And I mean, we see that with just the match with the sparring match versus Goku and Boo and Goku and Krillin. And to me, I think that while it's going to be a mixed opinion, it's not going to take away from my enjoyment of the arc, but I think it will definitely take away from some people's enjoyment of the arc who are really obsessed with power scaling if things don't happen to be written in a way to where it's plausible for them. But already, people have already been complaining, like how MJ said about Krillin and Goku being Super Saiyan Blue. So there's my opinions on that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because when you look at the actual, like, I guess when you look at it from a certain perspective, that whole scene was really good. Like, I mean, I thought Higashida did an awesome job animating the scene, like those flips that Goku was doing during the Destructo disc, the music that played in the background. Sumitomo's been like at his best recently with the music, especially in the Future Trunks arc. And then you look at like those moments where the flashback and then like Krillin and Goku bumped fists. It's just like, that was an overall cool scene. Like, I mean, I think as someone who's just an anime fan but hasn't really watched Dragon Ball, they just sat down and watched that, they would be like, oh shit, this is pretty cool, until you find out that, you know, Krillin's supposed to be weaker than Frieza. It's like, oh, then that doesn't make much sense. But, you know, just looking at it from that perspective, yeah, dude, that was a very awesome scene, and I do agree with you. I think people really should kind of just enjoy it for what it is. And then also, there's other problems that, you know, happen with Super, but they should just sit down and enjoy the episode for what it is, and then go back later and actually like dissect it, you know what I mean, to do a dissection of the arc or the episodes, at least in my opinion. Because to be honest, bro, I think Particle said it best. He's saying that right now, Super is kind of getting a lot of hate, and I mean, I can agree to him to an extent, because I do get what he means. I think Super does have a lot of problems. So when I say a lot of problems, I mean a lot of problems. But at the same time, I think people are just finding issues with it. You know what I mean? It's like the people who take screenshots of a in-between thing and go, oh, bad animation. You know what I mean? I think people are just kind of like picking it and just, they're trying to like really take a lot out of it, when, I mean, there's a lot of problems with the other parts of the show, you know, Z, GT, and Dragon Ball. Like even Dragon Ball, even though I love Dragon Ball, that's my favorite part of the franchise, even that has a bit of that has some issues in it. But, you know, it's just, I guess to overall sum it up for you, Dimsy, for your video here, is that I feel like people probably will complain, but in my opinion, they really shouldn't, at least in my opinion. But for me, and I think for Scouters, well, we're probably just gonna enjoy what we see, you know, before we actually power scale and dissect it.
Yeah, I agree, and you've heard it from the two power scaling experts right here, so I don't think that this arc should be any leeway for anyone to kind of dissect the fights as it's going on live. Maybe after the arc finishes, it's like you're gonna get those people, as Scout said, those idiots who, and as well as you Geeklist, as you said, those people who are gonna be like, try to criticize for the sake of criticizing. The type of people who are gonna vomit on their hair and go to the mom and say, "Mum, I had a bad hair day." They're stupid, aren't they? And yes, with that being said, I am going to direct you to the two channels, the two guests. So first thing first, we got the Golden Scouter. So he does a lot of power scaling as well as a lot of playthroughs. Now, me personally, the video I want you all to check out is actually the Dragon Ball Power Levels Explained, the Frieza Arc Part 1. That was a really, really good, concise, and very well crafted video. So make sure to check him out and subscribe to him. And of course, we have Geeklist TV, and the video which I really did enjoy, which I you know what, it really does go with this video. Check it out. It is who trains the hardest, and that was a video with, I believe, Kandamu, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
So with that, you need to check it out. It is a very, very good video, and for good reason. It is getting a lot of views, so put in your little input and comment in that video as well. So with that, make sure to like, share, comment and subscribe to these two. You may now exit Dimsy's domain. Thank you and goodbye.